Morning guys, this is Rio Reacts. We're here, we're in Hong Kong as you can see. Look at the backdrop, man. What a place to talk about the transfer window. Straight after it's finished, closed yesterday. We're here now, we're going to kind of catch up on what's gone on. Man United obviously have been quite active in the transfer market, ins and outs. I think we spoke last night on the show. I think the outs are as important as the ins. Jadon Sancho, Rasmus Hojlund going, Garnacho going, Marcus Rashford going, Anthony going. I think only Malacia, might have been the one that stayed. But everybody's gone. And listen, I think it's so important that those players go away firstly, and I think get their careers back on track. No one wants to see anybody in a bad way. And it happens sometimes in a career where things don't go to plan. And I saw the reception that the Betis fans give Anthony, so I wish him really well. Marcus Rashford going there. But I think it's been decent business in a way. I think there's been a lot of people can haggle and argue about Garnacho, the fee could be higher. But I think the narratives would suggest that they were in a position, I think, of power Chelsea, that they knew Man United had to sell Garnacho. But getting that money in, and also the money that they got in from other players, they got parts of the sale from Nottingham Forest for Elanga to Newcastle, Fernandes to Real Madrid, 7 million as well. Sancho, the 5 million penalty that Chelsea had. Greenwood, Champions League qualification, £5 million. A sell-on for Oyedele as well. So they've got their money coming in. Obviously, Man United could do more in that sense, but I think Ineos are working from a hamstrung position. I think the recruitment that's been done in the past has really hampered the way that Ineos have been able to attack the market. But I think that Ineos have done a good job this window. I think, yes, we could sit here and go, you know what? Could Man United have gone and got a midfielder? That was a position people were thinking that Man United needed to strengthen in. I think in yesteryear, in the regime before, Man United would have gone out and blown 80, 90, 100 million pound on that player and paid over the odds, 30, 40 million pound, and had to pay them probably double the wages that they would have got anywhere else. But again, that's why we're in the position we're in now, where we're hampered with transfers. We've got players on far too much money. They're sitting here and saying, I'm not going anywhere, and I'll make the players right. They're in a great position. Why am I going to leave Man United, or why am I going to leave any club when I'm sitting on £300,000 a week, but I'm getting offered 120 grand a week somewhere else? No one in their right mind makes that call and makes that play. You don't. If you work at Boots and another company, Holland and Barrett, are offering you a reduction in pay, but you're going to get a chance to work at the front desk this time rather than just doing the aisles, you ain't going to go. Pay me the same money or I'll stay at Boots. It's the same thing in football. People just think that football's a bit differently and treat players differently. But players bought in, I think it's been a positive transfer window for Man United. Lammens, the goalkeeper, late last night brought in, I think potentially very good. We spoke last night on the show. Thibaut Courtois gave me a resounding kind of like judgment on him, says he's got great potential, great stature. Obviously, he's going to need a bit of time adjusting to the league. That's my only concern with a young goalkeeper, inexperienced coming into the club. But I hope, given the opportunity, he goes and produces, because the goalkeeper position at the moment isn't the most confident position we've got at the football club. Cunha coming in, Mbeumo, Sesko, £223 million spent in this window. So no one can sit here and say that Ineos aren't putting their money where their mouth is. Investment in the team, investment in the training ground, and I'm sure there's going to be investment soon into the stadium, as we all know. So United, I think, I have to say, if I'm going to give it a mark out of 10 for performance in the transfer window this summer, I'm going to give it a 7.5, maybe an 8. I think I'll give it an 8 based on the players that they've got out of the football club, because they had the potential to affect the ambience if they were hanging around. And I think it's been a good decision from the club. Good active work from the people behind the scenes. So just before I get into other clubs like Arsenal and stuff, I've seen a load of people quite negative about Arsenal. That they played negative football and you can't win the league playing the way that they played at Anfield, etc. The team selection could have been a bit more, I think, positive. You had the more creative players on the bench. Yes, I get that. But you can't tell me the way Arsenal started that game, there wasn't a on the front foot, high press. Liverpool couldn't get out. I was in the WhatsApp groups with my mates who are all Liverpool fans saying, listen, Liverpool look bang average. They can't get out. First half, These big games where the teams that are going to be fighting for the title, there's small margins in these games. What I would say is Slot tweaked it at half time. The biggest problem I had with Arsenal, I don't think it was about their approach of not trying to win it. You can try and win a game in different ways. It's not about just having the most elaborate maverick players on the pitch. It's your intent. The intent in the first half was to press Liverpool high, win the ball and try and hurt them. They pressed them high, they won the ball. The problem was they didn't go for the jugular when they got it. But I thought the initial intent, I think, was to try and be aggressive in the game. And I think that, so I think the narrative that's surrounding Arsenal and Arteta, yes, with his team selection, he could be maybe more positive. But I think with his tactics within the game, I think he was on the front foot and he was positive for the first 45 minutes of the game. Now listen, this is what happens in these big games. You can't dominate Liverpool at Anfield for 90 minutes. When we play Liverpool, probably at their worst at times, the game was still ebbing and flowing. We never went there and dominated for a full 90 minutes. It just doesn't happen in the big games against the best teams. There's going to be moments where you're winning in the game, where you're on top, and then they get on top, and it's how you react. These games are decided by small little factors and small margins. A free kick decided this game. I don't think it was actually the tactics or negative approach that people are saying from Arteta that decided this game. Anyway, moving on. Oh, another thing I've got to beat my bonnet about. Right, we've seen Isak muscle his way out of Newcastle. He gets the deal done, a massive transfer fee. Liverpool have had one of the best, arguably, transfer windows what we've seen in the Premier League era. They've gone and got the best striker, well, the second best striker after Hojlund in the Premier League. They've got the best left back last year in the Premier League, Kirkers. They've got the best right back in the German Bundesliga coming, Frimpong. They've got, who else did they sign? Wirtz, the best German player in the Bundesliga. That is a ridiculous window. The best in positions in their respective leagues have come into their team to improve the champions. If they don't win the league and a cup this season, it's a failure. Trust me. The amount of money they've spent, over 400 million they've spent. Yes, they've recouped some money. So I think it's around the 200s that they've recouped, the actual net spend is. But they've done some wonderful business. I think Liverpool have done a magnificent job. But back to my point, what I was making about Isak. Isak has muscled his way out. He's gone and said, listen, I'm not going to play. I'm sitting down. He's caused a ruckus. He's got Alan Shearer pulling his hair out. He's got the fans going mad. They want blood. But he got his move. He got his move. On the other hand, Mark Guehi, a wonderful, young, polite, respectable human being. I'm not saying that Isak isn't, because I know he is, I've heard he is. I'm not saying that, I'm just talking and telling you what I know, because I know Mark Guehi. Beautiful young human being. Dances and tiptoes around it. Does things the right way. Does things the way the media say it should be done. It's quiet, unassuming. Non-confrontational. The fans love this. This is what they respect. This is what they like. Transfer deadline. They don't even get a move. He's stuck. He's at Crystal Palace. They said, no, you're not going. Because they knew he weren't going to fight. He's not that way. So the club bully him. So the club say, no, we can't get who we want exactly. So you are not going nowhere. We're going to take that move out of your hands. The dream move to the champions potentially could win 3 or 4 trophies this year, taken away from a young man because he wasn't being bullish and he wasn't being aggressive and he wasn't being like the fans become to hate who they once loved. Now tell me who's right. Tell me who's right in this. I think I really, that's why I sit with the players and I say, if you need to get a move, you got to do whatever you can to get a move if it's your dream move. And if the club you think are getting good money for you, like Palace would have been, because he's going to go in a free either January or in the summer, right? Palace ain't going to get nothing, right? Two, I think Palace have known for ages, by the way, that Mark Guehi wants to go. It ain't like it's just come around the corner. Mark Guehi has said to the club for a long time, I know this, that he wants to leave. It's been going around for the last month at least. Right, so I know that's a fact. So they should have been preparing for him to leave and going to get another player. I'm actually pleased on one hand Liverpool ain't got him because I don't want everything if Mark Guehi turns up. But for him, I'm disappointed, I'm gutted, and it just shows you. I don't want no fans telling me, loyalty and all this and all that. Because when push comes to shove, if a club don't want a player, they get rid of them, right? So a player, when he wants to go and the club aren't getting stitched up with a fee, and they're getting the right amount of money, the player should be able to talk and go, man. I just think you can't keep an unhappy player. Mark Guehi at Palace now, he's going to be an unhappy kid walking around that training ground now, devastated. He's won Palace a lot, captained Palace to a trophy. And they've said, no, you're not going nowhere, you're going to stay here, we're not going to do you right. Tell me in the comments what you think, guys. But let's look at what's it called? The City signed Donnarumma as well, by the way. I couldn't believe that. City, man. Edison, City, Donnarumma. What a goalkeeper. One of the best 2-3 goalkeepers in the world. Won the lot last year with Paris Saint-Germain. Everyone's surprised he's actually been allowed to leave. I think Paris Saint-Germain, brave decision from the manager to do this. When you're on top, when you're winning, you can afford to make these kind of decisions, I think. But I think it's a real coup for Man City to get Donnarumma, top-class goalkeeper. Elliott signs for Villa on loan. I think it's a good signing. They got Sancho as well. Villa done a decent bit of business there, I think. And another one, Vissa. Vissa, another one, gets his move. Causes havoc, comes out, puts a statement out, says to Brentford, I don't want to be there. Bang, gets his move. So Newcastle fans, are you upset that Wissa was doing that and trying to jostle to get out of Brentford to come to you lot? The way that Isak was doing the same, trying to get out for you to go to the Champions? Come on, man, make it make sense to me. It's crazy. Let's look at the transfers, man. Some of the top transfers. Obviously, the fees, the 125 million for Isak is the breaking one this season, the highest one in the Premier League. Newcastle to Liverpool. I actually think there's too many positives. That can't go wrong. He makes them better. I watched Liverpool the other day. If Salah ain't on it, who's going to bring the magic? They find moments, but who's going to do something that is so unexpected? Isak will bring that to this team. Wonderful player, beautiful mover, great balance, great finisher, Premier League sound, Premier League ready. Huge. Wirtz, I saw a stat today, Wirtz is running more than any player in the Premier League. Got to slow down. If he wants to be a success, he's so eager to do well, I understand it. Sometimes press pause, stand still, the game will come to you. The top 3 signings in the Premier League this year, Liverpool, by the way, you know that? Ekatike, £79 million with all the add-ons. Wirtz and Isak, huge amount of money. The next 2, Man United, Sesko and Mbeumo. This is some great signings. You know what? Volta made the one that's gone from Stuttgart to Newcastle. I saw him with the 21s for Germany, banging in goals, creating havoc. He is a very good player and probably one of the best style icons for the next 3 or 4 years in the Premier League. Great hair. I think he's got a good muzzy as well, a good little muzzy. Eze, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing Eze. I think I think Pedro, I think, is going to be the best value. João Pedro at Chelsea out of all the transfers. I think he's a great mix, great addition to the Chelsea squad because he can play centre forward, he can play as a 10, he can even drop down. I see him as a little bit of an 8 or 10 in the team. I think he's a really good addition. But Eze, it's that story in it that Arsenal fan agreed to go to Spurs, almost got into Spurs. They almost had him, goes then to Arsenal. I'd love him to start dominating and doing his thing, and I can't wait till he goes to White Hart Lane. Yeah, man, it's been a crazy window. I think a lot of money's been spent. I think this window is, again, it's just really thrown it down and said to people, look at how far ahead the Premier League is to all the other leagues. Just in terms of, not forget quality or who's the better leagues, etc. Just in terms of investment, the Premier League is absolutely night and day above anyone else. Absolutely crazy. The amount of money that is being spent. That's why it's the best league in the world, you know. There's so much going on, it's so exciting. The other leagues, they can't compete financially. And I think that's a concern. I think if we want the game to keep continuing to grow and stuff, we need to make sure that the money is kind of spread across the leagues in a better way, that it can stay competitive. We don't want just one league dominating everything. Not that it's going to get that, because I still think the Bayern Munichs of this world, Paris Saint-Germain's, the Reals and the Barças are going to always compete. But you want more big players at the table. But the biggest spenders, obviously, 415 million spent. Sorry about the work in the background. I'm going to go mad in a minute. I'm going to get... Yo! Come on, man. They're not listening. But yeah, the biggest spenders, Liverpool, 415 million pounds spent. 235 by Chelsea, 285 by Chelsea, 255 by Arsenal, 250 million pounds spent by Newcastle, 216 by Man United, and then comes Forest on 200, Spurs on 181, Sunderland on 162, Man City on 152, and West Ham on 124 million pounds spent. That is huge numbers being spent, man. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Arsenal spent 255 million pounds and recouped 9 million. They've gone in. Wow. Chelsea spent 285. What? Wow. And received 288. How's that work? Is that right? Wow. But to be fair, Liverpool spent 415, but their net spend is 228. So it's not too bad. They're not even the biggest spenders in the actual window. And if you go by net spend, Arsenal net spend are the biggest spenders this year in the transfer window. So Arsenal fans, will you be expecting the Premier League trophy to be delivered based on the fact that you guys have spent the most net this transfer window? Listen, it's been an exciting transfer window, guys. I've loved every minute. I hope you have. Get in the comments who's been your favourite, who's the best value, who's overpriced, who's going to be the one that jumps out of the pack and proves worth, who should have gone and didn't go. I think, man, my man, Mr. Mark Guehi should have gone, man. But anyway, listen, guys, get in the comments, let us know, turn the notifications on. Loads of stuff coming. Tomorrow we've got Michael Owen dropping on a Rio Meets. Look at the friend that he brought along to join the interview. Wonderful stuff. Take care, guys, and catch up soon.